Good morning, everyone. We are continuing here in the words of the Horowitz in the Sefer Mitzvah HaKatzar, and we are holding over here in the 14th positive commandment, which is Lilmod Torah U'Lalamda, is to learn Torah and to teach it to others as well. And he writes, Mitzvah la'av lilmod im benoi. There's a mitzvah upon the father to learn with his son. V'koidem la'acherim. He comes first, meaning the son comes first. His father might be a Rabbi in a yeshiva. He might be a Rav who gives shiurim. He might be a tutor for others, and so he has so many people to teach. But the father has to know who comes first in all of the learning that you do, that you teach, comes first your son. You have an obligation also to learn with your grandson. Because as it says, you should let the words of Torah be known to your son, and to your grandchildren as well. So this is part of the Mesorah, this is part of the transmission of Torah, which goes all the way back to Har Sinai, when Moshe Kibul Torah Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Masru Yoshua. He gave it to Yoshua, Yoshua leZekanim. Yoshua gave it to the elders, Zekanim leNeviim. The elders gave it to the Neviim, to the prophets. The prophets gave it to the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah, to the men of the Great Assembly, who began to codify all of the Torah Shebaal Peh, all of the oral words of Torah that we have. And we are links in that chain of the nitzchios of the eternal Torah that we received at Har Sinai. So therefore, I am a father, I'm obligated to pass it on to my children, and I'm obligated to pass it on even to my grandchildren, and so on and so forth, because this is what our Mesorah, what our transmission of Torah is all about. From the time that a child is able to speak, Aviv Malamdu Torah, at that point already, when the child is able to speak, what should you fill his mouth with? Words of sport? Should you fill up his mouth with words of politics? Teach him Joe Biden? Chalila, says the Horowitz. The moment that you see that your child is able to open his mouth and begin to speak, Malamdu Torah, you have to teach him Torah. And you say together with him the pasuk, the verse Torah tziva lanu Moshe meirasha kilas Yaakov, the Torah that Hashem, the Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu commanded us. It is a meirasha, it is an inheritance to the Kehilas Yaakov, to the nation, to the congregation of Klal Yisrael. This is what a child, when he opens his mouth and he begins speaking, he doesn't say, I want. He doesn't start screaming and yelling, give me this, give me that, or I hate you. Those are not the words, Chalila. Even if they're happy words you teach him, thank you, please, all the nice things that we do. No. We start training the young boy and the young girl in the right way, or we'll see the young girl, we start training them in the right way, that they should use their mouths. They should use their mouths for the proper words. Those are the words of Torah. And when a child is raised from a young age, that's what we speak about. That is what we talk about. That's what we engage our sikha, our conversation in. So it begins to envelop the person. It begins to become nivled, absorbed inside of their kishkas of who they are as a person. And then the Torah tziva lanu Moshe, the Torah itself, which is the precious inheritance that Moshe Rabbeinu brought down from Har Sinai, it becomes the inheritance for our children as well. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful Shabbos.